Hey everybody, welcome to What's the Verdict? So I'm your host, Danielle. Welcome to the podcast. And for those of you who are family and friends and supporting this new venture outside of my old adventure, welcome, welcome, welcome. And welcome to all of those of you who find this podcast for the first time. So as it states in the About Me section, I am someone who really does enjoy following criminal justice trials, court cases, whether it be celebrity or non-celebrity. If there's a particular trial that catches my interest, I will follow that trial as a virtual juror and then come over to social media and give my opinion. So just a heads up, I'm not an attorney. I'm not practicing law. I am someone who in a past life thought I wanted to be in that career, but realized I was just too passionate, too sensitive, and too ready to just be Tasmanian devil on injustice. And I realized that I was not the right personality type for that industry and that career. So I pulled back. However, it never left me. It's something I've been intrigued with since like age 17, and it has. And so I wanted to create a special channel that just really caters to that particular area of my interest. So I won't be covering every viral or non-viral topic, but there will be a lot of topics that I will cover that might be popular and many that are not, but, again, spark my attention and I want to give my opinion on it. So looking forward to all my true crime people who are also following certain cases and watching other channels and may even have your own channel where you give your own opinion. Let's dive into this very interesting field and interest and just see what we come up with. So my first video for this channel is one that for years has always sparked my attention, and the first time that I actually got really invested in this particular story was when I came across the interrogation video of this particular defendant. His name is Nikolas Cruz. At the time of his crime, he was 19 years old, and I'll talk a little bit more about why he is on trial. Well, he's not so much on trial. He's actually going to be on trial for his sentencing, but he's already pled guilty to his crime. So we'll get into that as well. Now, just for a little backstory for those of you who don't remember this story, because it took place back in 2018, and there's been a lot of ongoing drama with this particular situation, and I'm just going to touch on it a little bit before I start posting videos, giving my opinion about what's taking place present day as they're preparing for his sentencing trial. So, this shooting took place during the afternoon of February the 14th in 2018 at Marjorie Stone Douglas High School in Parkland. After he stopped shooting, possibly because his rifle jammed, Cruz dropped the rifle on the third floor of the building and left the scene by blending in with fleeing students. He then allegedly walked to a fast food restaurant, stopping at a mall to get a soda on the way, and lingered before leaving on foot at 3:01 p.m. And about 3:40, police stopped Cruz 2 miles from the school in the Wyndham Lakes neighborhood of Coral Springs and arrested him as a suspect shooter. He was then taken to a hospital emergency room with labored breathing. After 40 minutes, Cruz was released back into police custody and booked into the Broward County Jail. The shooting lasted for about 6 minutes in total, and all of the victims were shot within just under 4 minutes. School surveillance camera video was alleged to show Cruz as the shooter and was also recognized by eyewitnesses. While SWAT paramedics were inside the building, additional paramedics from the local fire rescue department repeatedly requested to enter the building. These requests were denied by the Broward Sheriff's Office even after the suspect was arrested. So that gives you guys a little insight on what was going on with this particular case back in 2018. like I said, a lot of drama has taken place since this was brought to the attention of the world, or what was going on. One of the things that I found interesting is that I believe it was, gosh, back in maybe, don't quote me on this, don't hold me to this, but I believe it was either in 2020 or 2021. But his his state prosecuted attorney tried to remove herself from his case as counsel. The reason that she was trying to do this was she was trying to claim that there was one particular attorney who was like extremely important to this case that was for some reason unavailable all of a sudden, and was needed to actually give this defendant the best case possible, which, sidebar, is intriguing to me because yet again, he'd already admitted to pleading guilty to all accounts. He just is now awaiting sentencing. But according to his state-appointed attorney, that he that she needed this other attorney. And when she presented this to the judge to have herself removed, the judge was like, "No, ain't gonna happen. I feel as though you and the other two attorneys that have been assigned to this defendant can move forward with the case. And if this other attorney can find within their time to come on board, then we will, take that in consideration," and so forth and so on. And because of that, this attorney then put in a motion for the judge to remove herself as the judge on this case because she felt like she was basically impeding her from being able to do her job. And yet again, the judge was like, "Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Find another excuse, find something else, take it up with somebody, but don't take it up with me. Here's the hand, talk to it, and maybe you can leave a message and maybe it will return your call and maybe it won't." Like, this is the type of energy this judge has had. So here we are, finally in 2022, where finally they set a date where it's going to move forward. They already, like I said, they already have the jury picked out. There's already the same judge is still presiding over this. And now there are a total of 5 attorneys that he has. And then the state has about 5 to 6 attorneys as well. And so I basically have kind of caught you all up as much as I am going to catch you up on what's going on with this particular trial, because there's already so much drama, as you have heard, associated with it. But there's one particular additional just to give you guys an idea of the foolishness that's been said around this particular case. I am hoping that I'm able to play this audio and you'll be able to hear it. But back in, I think it was last year when they was doing jury selection, one of the jurors made a very interesting plea as to why she could not perform her juror duties on this case. And it was at this moment that I realized that this particular case was not going to just be your any old type of whatever type of case. Now, before I get into that, I do want to give you a little bit more backstory on the defense attorney trying to withdraw from his case. So this happened, this was being reported back in June of 2022. So the public defender that's representing the school shooter, Nikolas Cruz, tried to withdraw from his death penalty trial Monday after the judge ordered them to move forward with jury selection, even though one of the members of the 5-member team is sick with COVID-19. Circuit Judge Elizabeth Shearer rejected the withdrawal motion by Cruz's lead attorney, Melissa McNeil. The defense then filed a motion asking Shearer to remove herself from the case, accusing her of being biased against Cruz. Shearer dismissed that request. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys like an idea of kind of like the time frame of when all this foolishness was going on. Now, his attorneys also tried to file a motion, or they did file a motion, stating that because of the May 24th shooting in Uvalde, Texas, that this particular shooting was actually going to make it harder for the jurors to actually give him a fair trial, because it was going to actually bring up even more disturbing feelings for jurors who were going to be influenced by that. And it was just like, listen, they have already been pushing this trial back, and pushing this trial back. Again, this took place back in 2018. Here we are in 2022. So you had to go through the pandemic, where all of that was putting things off. And then not to mention that, like, all of these other issues that were taking place. So I did want to kind of state that he's now 23 years old, okay? And so now here we are getting ready to move forward with this whole situation. Now, let's see, there was something else that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. So they're going to have 12 jurors, and then they're going to have 8 alternates. And this is supposed to be a 4-month trial, okay? I'm hoping it's not that long, but we will see what happens. Like, that's kind of crazy, because it is definitely saying that this is for a 4-month trial that would decide whether he is sentenced to death or life in prison without parole. So that's what this whole trial is based on. Now I want to... Now that I've given you guys some backstory on what's going on with the jurors, that brings me into this other situation that I want to tell you guys about, the foolishness that's been going on in this case. Again, I hope that this is able to be played. If not, when I listen back into this in my, before I post this, I will try to get the audio in there if it doesn't. But let's just see. Hold on.
Joseph, thank you. Now to a one and only exclusive. Earlier this week, a potential juror in the penalty phase of the Parkland shooting trial told the judge she couldn't serve because she has a sugar daddy. Well, that clip went viral online, and now she wants to set the record straight. We have Local 10's crime specialist, Bridget Matter, live in Fort Lauderdale with the exclusive interview. Bridget.
This woman said she wanted to talk to us because she wanted to let people know she was being honest, that serving on a jury would put her in a financial hardship because she can't see her sugar daddy. No one expected jury selection in the Parkland shooter's penalty phase trial to go viral, but this clip of a potential juror explaining why she can't serve on the panel made the rounds on social media.
I need to figure out something. I have my sugar daddy that I see every day. I'm sorry? My sugar daddy. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but I'm married and I have my sugar daddy. Okay, I see him every day.
That woman, Mrs. Bristol, a native New Yorker, says she wasn't trying to weasel her way out of jury duty.
If I do this case for 6 months, I have a hardship. That means my sugar daddy can't support me.
She told me that 6-month time frame would put her in a financial bind. How much exactly per month she claims she'll miss out on?
$8,000 a month.
The penalty phase for the shooter could last up to 6 months. Jurors would have to make a recommendation to the judge of a life or death sentence.
It's all day for 6 months. And that was my hardship. I need my sugar daddy money.
Bristol says she was honest, saying her hardship was financial, so the judge excused her.
I said to the judge, I have a sugar daddy and I'm married and I have a husband, just like that.
The judge wrote other more common hardships like having 2 jobs or a long vacation, but none as unique as this one. I did ask Bristol if the judge asked her to provide any proof of this. She said no, that she was simply excused. Eventually, 12 jurors and 8 alternatives will be seated for this penalty phase, but Bristol will not be part of that group. For now, we're live in Fort Lauderdale. Bridget Matter, Local 10 News.
Hashtag only in South Florida.
Okay. Foolishness. Now, if for whatever reason that on. There have been times where this judge has clearly, in my perspective, from how I'm viewing her, is just doing way too much for the camera. She knows exactly where the camera is. She's doing a whole bunch of Instagram type of poses and facial expressions. And there was a moment when she was having this back and forth with the defense, and she was trying to, I guess, gather them, get them together, trying to make a point, trying to make it, make a point that she is able to take control of her courtroom. I don't know how much of control she's going to have as things move forward, but there was this one moment in time where she was just extremely visibly and vocally out of her league. And she literally said, "Oh, you guys, like, I just can't." And all I could hear was the damn Kardashians. And I was just thinking to myself, like, oh my God, this is going to be one of those situations where she's going to be just so busy trying to worry about what the aesthetics are and how they're coming off, that is this woman going to be able to do her job, because her job is still required. Even though he has already pled guilty, it's still her job to make sure that the jury, when they finally do come in the courtroom, that she's setting a tone and she's keeping both sides in line and making sure they're presenting their case in a way in which the jury will be able to make a decision on whether or not the taxpayers of their county is going to be funding this defendant to be in prison for life. Because in Florida, when you are given a death penalty, there is no option for parole. You are the only way you're leaving that jail is in a box, okay? And aren't they going to give him the death penalty? And there is no appeals and things of that nature. So this is all coming out of taxpayers' money, which also brings me to another thing that I observed while watching them prepare for this sentencing case. There are times, which I'm hoping does not translate over into when this trial actually gets underway and the jury gets involved, but there were moments, and you guys let me know if you peeped it out, where I'm thinking, damn, billable moments are really hiking up. There are moments in these videos, if you watch them over on Law and Crime, that they are just basically taking time to get documents ready, and the attorneys for the defense are trying to figure out what questions they're asking particular witnesses that are going to be part of the trial. And there was just these long moments that might have only been 1 to 2, maybe 5 minutes, but that's a long time when you are in the midst of examining someone and questioning someone about something to get testimony into record. And there's just this long pause where the witness and the whole court is waiting for you to pull questions or documents that just seemed like you should have had this together. It was just some really weird moments in some of this video that I was watching. I can already see the comments just tearing up a couple of the attorneys on the defendant's side. And I mean, at the end of the day, I definitely find it to be justifiable, because again, he has 5 attorneys. Okay, 5 attorneys for a sentencing. I just, not just, on a previous channel when I was covering the case about the Waffle House shooter that took place back, I believe it was in Tennessee. I think he had maybe 2 or 3 attorneys. And I'm just trying to understand why this Nikolas Cruz has 5 attorneys. And that's just the attorneys that's in the courtroom. It has nothing to do about all the other people that are working on this case. I'm still at a loss of words as to why he has this many attorneys for the sentencing. Anyway, there's one particular attorney. I want to pull up her name, because she was really, getting on my nerve. Tamara Curtis, that's her name. She's an assistant public defender. Tamara Curtis. She was like, watching her talk to this forensic psychologist was like someone scratching chalkboard. I mean, it was like, ooh, if she's the first person y'all are sending out, maybe she represents what it looks like when you send out your weakest people to kind of, get the blunt of battle, and then you send in your strong people. But I felt very like, ooh, she's going to get eaten alive if they keep bringing her back into the courtroom for stronger witnesses that the state might present. Because in my opinion, Michael Brennan was a very strong forensic psychologist, and as much as she kept trying to get him to double down on the testimony that he was given, his rebuttals were even stronger than his original response to some of her questions. And I was just like, ooh, gosh, some of the stuff that she's even trying to give him examples of why this defendant might have been doing certain things was cringeworthy coming out of her mouth. And it was just like, oh my God. But at the end of the day, I thought to myself, well, if they got to get someone, some practice, I guess this is the best time for her to get some practice. I just don't think this is the trial to do it, but I guess she got to get her hours and CCs in at some point in some way. But it was just very interesting to watch her just get just stepped all over. So much so that she was going back to lead counsel so much that I've thought to myself, wow, the taxpayers in this particular county, are basically paying for her on-the-job training, is what I thought. Anyway, so this is what's been going on so far. My next video is going to be me recapping in more detail exactly what has been going on over the past several days in the courtroom, things that I'm noticing from the judge, from the state, and from the defense team, and just overall some of the things that I'm noticing, the way that Law and Crime is covering some of the visuals so far. There were some interesting things that I noticed, and I want to see if you guys noticed them. So stay tuned as I'm getting those videos together, but I wanted to kind of pull the first layer off of my first video over on this channel as we grow, build, and just get it popping over here as we talk about things that are related to this area of interest. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. Again, down in the description of this video, I will link the video to that audio for the the one juror who said that she could not be on this particular case as a juror because it was going to be a financial hardship on her because her sugar daddy needed her to be available, and that she was going to be losing $8,000 a month if she was on that trial for every day for 6 months. So I'll drop a link for that, and I'll also will provide the link if you're interested in watching the interrogation video of Nikolas Cruz, which I found disturbing on so many levels. I found it disturbing as the way he was handled. I found it disturbing how the sheriffs and the detectives was dealing with him. I found it disturbing how he was able to, while in interrogation, get a visitor while during his interrogation, he was allowed a visitor. It was just very interesting to me the way this was all presented. It is over 10 hours. A lot of it is stuff you can kind of fast forward because it's just him doing nothing. But if you have time, I would say that for those of you who are really into this type of stuff, it's a very interesting video to watch. And just pay attention, from your own perspective of how this defendant at the time, this at the time of his interrogation, he had just murdered 17 people that were inside of a high school, okay? And at that time, they didn't even have all the numbers, but they knew that he was the shooter of this horrible crime. And I want you guys to give your very honest and your very, transparent opinion in your own words, your own perspective of how you thought or how you perceived his particular interrogation to be handled, and how the police handled him during that time. You guys let me know. All right, you guys. So that's all I have to say for now. Until our next video, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and we'll talk soon.